When my daughter Autumn Rose was 5 years old, we went to a home group potluck dinner, and she was talking to some friends of mine, a young couple that had been students of mine when I was principal, but now they're married and they hadn't had children yet, and now they've had three. But anyway, at the time, Autumn Rose was 5, and so she was talking to them during dinner, and she said, "You know, what would be really great is if I had a different mommy for each thing." So I had a mommy that cooked and served me dinner and maybe breakfast and made my lunch, and then a mommy who helped me get ready and helped me choose my clothes, and a mommy who helped me do my homework. And that way, my mommies would not be tired or overwhelmed, and there could be mommies for my siblings, and then we could have a mommy that just hangs out with us and goes places with us. And she's never tired and she always wants to go because there's all these other mommies who are doing things for us. And then she thought about it and she said, maybe that's not so good, because what would we call them? We would say, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy," and nobody would know who we were talking about. And if we said Mommy 1, Mommy 2, that just seems kind of rude. And they all laughed. And then she said, "So I guess it's okay if I have just one mommy, and sometimes she's tired, but she does all the things for me." And they told me about it later. And I laughed too, because that was really funny and it was very creative of her and a good problem solver for a 5-year-old. But it did make me feel kind of sad, because that also meant that she noticed how overwhelmed I was sometimes and how I couldn't do everything for her that she felt that she needed, but also that I wanted to do. And she was, at that time, I had 3 children, and Kai was a baby, and Hannah was 2.5 years older, so she was 7.5 or 8 years old. And so there was just a lot going on. And this kind of tapped into a lot of my own personal issues of feeling like I can never live up to the Proverbs 31 woman. And in church and everything, people would always talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, and there would be conferences and talks about how to be that, and things like that. And even as a single person, I didn't feel like I could live up to that, because I am more of a type B personality, more of a Mary than a Martha. And Proverbs 31 woman seems a lot more Martha than Mary. And at least it did to me. And then one day, a friend of mine said, "Do you think the Proverbs 31 woman did all of that in one day?" And I said, let me think about it. Yes, she did. She got up early and she went to bed late, and she made clothes and stood at the gates and encouraged her husband and did all of these things in one day. And she laughed and I laughed, because that's funny. How could someone do all of that in one day? But I had never really thought about it before until she had asked that. And after reflecting on it and praying, I realized that this isn't a reflection of a woman's day in a life. It's a reflection of a woman's lifetime. The things that this woman did over a lifetime, that she was dedicated to her children, her family, but most of all to God, over a lifetime. And so in Proverbs 31, I'm only going to read little excerpts of it. I'm reading from an Amplified Bible, which is currently one of my favorites. I'll put a link to one that I like below. And this starts out with saying the description of a worthy woman, which of course I wanted to be worthy, and I still want to be worthy. I don't know anyone who thinks, "Oh, I want to be unworthy." Pretty much everyone wants to be worthy. So an excellent woman, one who is spiritual, capable, intelligent, and virtuous. Who is he who can find her? Her value is more precious than jewels, and her worth is far above rubies or pearls. The heart of her husband trusts in her with secure confidence, and he will have no lack of gain. She comforts, encourages, and does him only good and not evil all the days of her life. And then it goes on to talk about how she gets material to make clothes. She gets food from far away and from merchants, and she has a business. She plants and does all of these things. But at one point, it talks about her maids. So she wasn't alone doing this. She had maids, she had helpers, she had people who were helping her, and probably even people in her family who were there helping her, maybe sister, mom, because they lived in bigger family units. Her lamp does not go out, but it burns continually through the night. She is prepared for whatever lies ahead. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle, so she spins her own wool. She opens and extends her hand to the poor, and she reaches out her filled hands to the needy. She does not fear the snow for her household, for all in her household are clothed in expensive scarlet wool. And she bakes things. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and her position is strong and secure. And she smiles at the future, knowing that she and her family are prepared. She opens her mouth in skillful and godly wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue, giving counsel and instruction. She looks well to how things go in her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, happy, prosperous, to be admired. Her husband also, and he praises her, saying, Many daughters have done nobly and well, with the strength of character that is steadfast in goodness, but you excel them all. Charm and grace are deceptive, and superficial beauty is vain, because spiritual beauty is not vain, superficial beauty. But a woman who fears the Lord, reverently worshiping, obeying, serving, and trusting him with awe-filled respect, she shall be praised. Give her of the product of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates of the city. So she does all of these things, but it's not like she never sits still and never stops to worship the Lord or even to rest. This is a picture of her lifetime. And I realized that in her, the most important things are that she is worshiping, obeying, serving, and trusting the Lord, and that she keeps her lamp lit. And that doesn't mean she sleeps with the light on and never turns it off so that she's just never in the dark. It means that her lamp is lit for the Lord. She's prepared for everything that the Lord has for her and her family, and she's preparing them. And it's such a beautiful sentiment. It no longer freaks me out. It's something that I don't even necessarily aspire to. I just live my life keeping my lamp lit and worshiping the Lord with all my heart, soul, body, and mind, because that is where all of these things can be found. And I appreciate the things that I have done, and I do. I feed my family. I sometimes do have to go afar for food since we're allergic to some things like gluten and dairy. And I may not be spinning my own wool because people don't really do that these days. Well, very few people. But I'm definitely making sure my family is clothed, and I care more about loving the Lord than about the superficial things in this world. And I don't get to determine whether or not my children rise up and call me blessed, but I work so that they can see themselves as blessed, and hopefully that they see that God blessed them with me, because God certainly blessed me with them. This Bible, this Amplified Bible, it has kind of it elongated things. It like adds in all the nuances of the original languages, and so that's why you got some extra words in there. but it just explains it more thoroughly. So instead of just saying her children rise up and call her blessed, it explains blessed with happy, prosperous, and to be admired. And that's why, part of why I love this Bible so much. Anyway, I hope you guys have a blessed day.